So a flaw I've noticed in the left wing, more so than the right wing, is this clinging to ideological purity as opposed to the realization that current events equates to currency within the social media platform. In other words, leftists are still talking about what it means to be a leftist. If you go to any page at all, whether it's a tanky page, whether it's a anarchist page, whether it's a social libertarian page, whatever, they're still hung up on how their leftism is the real leftism and other leftisms are fake heretic leftisms. It's as bad as religion, but the difference is they're not making the money like religion. They're not making the fan base like religion. They're not having the power and the influence like religion. And in some ways that's better, because religion shouldn't have the power and influence and money that it does. Proof is, they do, it sucks. They're terrible, terrible people. But the fact is, religious people are smarter than the leftists of the first world. They're smarter because they make better decisions that get them what they need to grow, because they use current events as currency. You see, if you want to be recognized, you gotta talk about what's in the now. You can't talk about fucking 100 years ago. Nobody gives a shit about Stalin. Nobody gives a shit about Hitler. Nobody gives a shit about anything except now. Because we live in the now. This is what we deal with now. So, what are we dealing with now? We're dealing with how Lacey Green is a fucking attention whore and she's with Chris Ray Gunn and everybody's having a little autistic fit about it, not realizing that she'll probably change her politics in like 3 years anyway. We're dealing with now the fidget spinner craze, which, by the way, there are worse things that could be a fad, but hey, the thing I hate about fidget spinners is that there's no competition to them. And I don't mean competition like free market competition. I mean competition like there's no fun involved. Beyblades, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Pogs, all of them had in common that kids would get together with other kids and they would have sportsmanship, and then they would, compete against each other and form bonds and have fun and, socialize. Fidget spinners are the epitome of the individual. You're just in a corner, jacking off to your fidget spinner, completely isolated from the world, and isn't that so reflective of modern society, with all the identity politics and how everybody's a special snowflake, but nobody has anything? What's the point of you being a transgender, gender fluid, a demisexual, hobgoblin if you're fucking in a little corner spinning? No. No, you should want friends. You should want companions. You should want sex and love and vices and drinking and going out to parties and fucking smoking crack if you want to. You should want all of that, but you don't get it. You don't get anything. But hey, you can use the girls' bathroom. So it's all these things. Those are current events, and I am using those as currency to make myself relevant. Now, am I a leftist or am I a right winger? You don't know. That's the point. I don't want you to know. It's not a matter of like if you discovered it, I care, but I want you to understand that it's not about that. It's more meta than that. It doesn't give a shit if I'm left or right wing, because the American system is right wing. So whatever I am individually does not equate to what reflects a grander scheme of things. And what I'm trying to say is what works for me isn't going to work for the nation state, isn't going to work for the church, isn't going to work for all the other entities that you worship. You worship things well beyond what you're willing to admit you worship. You worship, the concept of a god sometimes. You worship your family. You worship your friends. You worship, your state. Let's face it, you're not going to break any laws anytime soon, even minor laws. You worship all kinds of things. I'm not trying to compete with gods here. I'm just trying to do me. I'm just trying to do me, and that way I don't have to fucking deal with normies. And God willing, I could put a shotgun to a moderator's head and blow the goddamn brains out. That would fulfill me. That'd be my fidget spinner. And you all are worried about little flags and cosplaying as revolutionaries and shit like that, and it's stupid, man. It's fucking stupid. Just talk about Lacey Green. Just talk about fidget spinners. Just talk about Donald Trump the most, because that seems to be what works. I guarantee you, if I say Donald Trump at least 3 times in this video, it'll probably get like at least 100 times more views than I normally get, which would mean I get 100 views. But Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. There. That's all I have to fucking do. Now I am rolling in the fucking subs and likes and retweets or whatever the fuck they want to call it. That's how this shit works. That's how the modern economy works. You don't need the Bilderbergs. You don't need the fucking you know, whatever stock market guy is talking on Fox News at the time. You don't need any of them to understand the modern economy and modern capitalism. All you need to know is how current events equal currency. Donald Trump, that's how you're going to raise your stocks. That's it.